The shakeup continues following the 70-burger the Dolphins put up, so much so that De'Von Achane changed up the pronunciation of his last name. It's not Achane, but it's Achane.
Okay.
The historic day of business in Miami made a lot of fantasy owners happy out there, because if Tyreek Hill is the low point total man on the fantasy wire, when you see the numbers the Dolphins put up at 30, you know that it was a bonkers day for Miami out there on offense. 45 points from Raheem Mostert, 51 from Achane, and the QB Tua Tagovailoa having 36. A day for him might have you figuring, hey, how can I get a piece of this pie? And for now, even more fantasy news. We bring in our fantasy expert, Heath Cummings, now. And of course, the Dolphins aren't going to score a 70-piece every single week, but fantasy owners out there might be like, what do I have to do to get a little piece of that pastelito out there? Who should fans target on that Dolphins roster?
Yeah, they want to make them our Dolphins as well. I think the guy that you're looking for on the waiver wire is the only one who's available, De'Von Achane. He's still rostered in less than 60% of leagues, so he's the easiest to acquire. The guy who's the most difficult to value, because I think we all think right now Tua's a top 5 quarterback as long as he stays healthy. Tyreek Hill's either wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 rest of season. Raheem Mostert is the man who is so difficult. You could target him in a trade. He's 31 years old. He's had a lot of injuries. Somebody might be thinking sell high. I think he's a top 10 running back for as long as he stays healthy, but he's never been able to stay healthy for a full season.
So Achane is the way to go with that. Heath coming in with the haymakers this morning. Hey, I appreciate it. Let's look at the bigger picture now here. Of course, with it being Tuesday and folks targeting, okay, I need to add some people to my roster. When it comes to running backs, where are you looking?
Yeah, I mean, Achane is available in 43% of leagues, and there were a lot of people that put 90% bids in last week for Jerome Ford. Maybe 2 weeks ago it was somebody else. If you missed out on those guys, this is your chance. Shoot your shot. Whatever you've got left, go ahead and bid it on De'Von Achane. He will be a top 30-ish type running back for as long as Mostert stays healthy. But I do think that there's a possibility that at some point this season we see 15 to 20 touches on a weekly basis in maybe the best offense in football, and he could absolutely be a top 15 running back. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I can't say I'm super excited to add Melvin Gordon, but Gus Edwards now on the concussion protocol, Justice Hill dealing with the lower body injury. Melvin Gordon may well be a starting running back again in week 4, and maybe even a starting running back for fantasy purposes.
Yeah, life comes at you real fast, like how life came at Brandon. His team is 0-3 right now after losing to my fantasy team by 90 points.
I can just claim the Dolphins
last week.
too then.
Okay, you can claim the Dolphins if you want. You still would have lost. Brandon probably could use a QB. Who should he be looking for?
To be honest, it's not been a great season so far for streaming quarterbacks, and we're still 1 week away from the start of the buys. So I'm not super excited about starting any of these guys in a 1-quarterback league. I was happy to see Kenny Pickett finally playing against a defense that wasn't one of the best in football look like a reasonably good high-end QB2. CJ Stroud is somebody, I don't necessarily want to start him against the Steelers this week, but the way he's played the first 3 weeks has made him look like somebody who might just be a must-start quarterback in the very near future. And then in 2 quarterback leagues, Andy Dalton with the choice matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. Would not be surprised if Dalton repeats the top 12 performance from last week.
So they are my Panthers, who are hoping to get Bryce Young back from his ankle injury, but it's still to be determined if he'll be able to come back from that. Listen, just know that it's not my Dolphins. It was a mistake. Anyways, wide receivers, who are we looking at there?
I am so excited for what Tank Dell has done in his first 2. I mean, it's 3 games, but really it's the first 2. You got the start in week 2, led the team in targets. Got the start in week 3, led the team in targets. When you have a rookie wide receiver leading his team in targets in 2 of his first 3 games, and then he has a quarterback who looks as good as CJ Stroud has, love the fact that Dell has so much success close to the line of scrimmage, but also showed us multiple times last week that he can get down the field and win deep as well. He should be rostered in 100% of fantasy leagues. And then you've got the Chargers, and it just depends on what you were adding here. If you need a starter for week 4, week 5, if you're really desperate, Josh Palmer's the right answer. He's going to see more targets immediately than Quentin Johnston will. But if you're just adding a wide receiver to your bench, add the first-round pick who's paired with Justin Herbert. I absolutely love what Quentin Johnston could be in the second half of the season.
Finally, we finish up with the tight end position. How are you leaning here?
It's the worst position in fantasy football. There's no doubt about that. But we've still got some streaming options. Jake Ferguson, I was happy to see that his struggles in week 1 and 2 did not cost him any targets in week 3. He looks like a fixture as the #1 option for Dak Prescott in the red zone and a consistent 9 to 10 fantasy point guy otherwise. Luke Musgrave, great matchup against a Lions team that has really struggled against tight ends. And then we got to watch this tight end target share in Arizona. They're throwing to their tight ends a lot more than we expected. I wish they'd make it Trey McBride. So far, it's still mostly Zach Ertz. He's worth an ad as well.
Our Heath Cummings waking up with us, getting us all straight on a Tuesday with the waiver wire about to open up. We appreciate you so much for your time, Heath. And you can always check him out on the Fantasy Football Today podcast. The guys stay busy year-round, giving you all the information you need to dominate your fantasy league. Like and subscribe.